Welcome to Mad About Money. I'm Maddy Alexander-Grout, and this is the podcast where we talk to interesting people all about their money, business, and neurodivergent stories. I am here with the lovely Liz Jones, and Liz is our PIP expert. What Liz doesn't know about PIP is not worth knowing, to be honest. So I wanted to get her on. Also, Liz has been subjected to the same sort of crappy media exposure and hatred that I've had over the last couple of weeks. So I wanted to get Liz on so we can talk not just about PIP and how to apply and get some good info from Liz, but also I just wanted to know a bit more about your story as well. So welcome, my darling. Lovely to have you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody who's watching. And what is probably better for me, Maddy, is you ask me the questions and I'll answer.
I will ask you the questions. So first of all, tell me a little bit about you.
Well, I joined TikTok over a year ago, and it was just something that I needed to do at that time because my life literally turned upside down after a serious mental health episode. So I've lived with mental health for most of my life, and I experienced a trauma-induced psychosis, which I'd never experienced before, and it was really, really scary. And that was in July 2023. And I was just hoping that I would just be able to get over it and go back to work, because what I've always worked, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to attend the sentencing hearing, which was for the perpetrator who committed crimes of sexual assault against me when I was 12, 13 and 14.
Wow.
He was found guilty. I attended the sentencing hearing and I did my victim impact statement out loud in front of him with no screens. And literally, the minute I finished my impact statement, I looked at him, and I hadn't seen him for over 5 years. And we think that is what has triggered the trauma-induced psychosis, because after that moment, I lost 48 hours of my life.
Oh, mate.
And I was down in Devon, in Exeter, at Crown Court. And the next thing I know, I sort of come round and I'm in my bedroom here like I am now, but it was Monday. And I have to tell you, that was the most scariest thing that I've experienced. And I've been in some quite scary situations in my professional life. So I needed something, because I've always worked. I've always helped people. That's what I've done. That's just my DNA. That's what I do. And not being able to work, but not wanting to focus on the trauma, I needed an out somewhere. So TikTok became my out, because there was no support from the crisis team. They saw me, they did an assessment, they put me on quetiapine, and they discharged me back to my doctor. My doctor tried to get me into mainstream mental health services. They didn't want to know, because I hadn't tried to unalive myself and I hadn't been to A&E, so they didn't want to know. So I eventually myself found some trauma therapy specific to childhood sexual assault and abuse. And luckily for me, it was only a few miles down the road from where I live, and it was you could only apply if you were in that small postcode catchment area, which I was, which was fantastic. But I had to wait for that. So we're in the end of July. I've got to wait until November for an assessment, and it was like I needed something to do. And TikTok became just what I needed it to be at the time for me, and I just needed another focus. I couldn't leave my bedroom, I couldn't leave my house, I couldn't drive my car, I couldn't speak to my family, and it was the worst time of my life. And I think TikTok kind of saved me as well in that respect.
Weirdly, I totally agree with you. Like, TikTok was my saviour when my last business went under, and although that doesn't sound very traumatic. It was really traumatic because
Yeah.
I got death threats from people, and it was, it was really quite traumatic. And I struggled for quite some time to actually get over that.
Yeah, I'm not
And being
surprised.
visible for me was kind of like an outlet for me to be able to share what I was going through. So I
Yeah.
completely appreciate that.
Yeah.
So when you first started your TikTok, was PIP the idea? Was that what you were going to talk to
No,
people
it wasn't. I
about?
wanted to learn new skills. I'd never put my face out there before. I thought, I could start an online business at home doing something. I bought a course. You've seen all that. I've bought a course.
Yeah.
I learned so much from that course. I didn't want to sell the course because I
Which
didn't want
one
to
was
be
it?
roadmap. Was a road.
Okay, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not as terrible as some of them.
No,
I mean,
no,
my
it
my
wasn't.
feeling, yeah, I mean, my feeling on a lot of these courses are that they are actually. I mean, fuck knows who was the person who created that in the first place. Like, I just,
I don't know.
I want to know because this is like my thing. It's like, who is the brains behind that course, or is it just a fucking AI generated course? Like, you don't know, do you? And
Well, the
that's hard.
roadmap is
Yeah,
a couple in America.
is
And
it okay?
once you're in the roadmap, you are in it for
You can
life.
sell it
And they are
again.
actually lovely. They're
Yeah,
really
okay,
lovely. I can't remember their names, but they follow me. They still follow me on
okay.
TikTok. I've still got access to everything. But for me, it was like, I'm a kind of person where I need to learn. I always learn something new every day. And if I don't,
Yeah,
I look for something because I think if you're not learning, you're not living.
I'm so like that. Yeah,
And
same.
it's just, I just needed that distraction because you got to remember I was seeing faces coming out of my wallpaper, and although I
Psychosis,
was
like, unless you've been there, you just don't know, do you? I've
no,
also been there, so
yeah, so
um,
it wasn't ever meant to be about PIP, but what happened with my TikTok profile was I did a video talking about how I've done so many personal independence payment forms in my professional life, and
mm,
even in my personal life I've done it for some people that I know that have got MS and
yeah,
other conditions. I've helped do that. But when it came to myself filling in my form, I mean, I didn't even want to apply for PIP because in my
mm,
head I was like, no, I'm just going to be working in a month or two. I'll be fine. I clearly was not fine.
no,
Um, but doing my own form, I found it so difficult. And I did a video about how I left it literally till like I had 48 hours left to submit it because I kept putting it off and putting it off. I
mm,
didn't want to sit there and open up. I was scared that I would go into another psychosis if I had to start
mm,
typing everything.
yeah,
That's what it was. Um, so what I did and what my video recorded was I I wrote that form as if I was talking about somebody that I was supporting. I wrote it in a
yeah,
third tense. It's the only way I could do it.
mm,
And that kind of video got quite a lot of interest on TikTok. And
yeah,
I was like, oh, okay. And there was loads of comments. I was sent loads of messages about how much these people had struggled, stuff like that. And I didn't really think anything more of it. And then I did another video. I don't know what made me do it, but it was literally, I filmed it about half an hour after my PIP telephone assessment.
okay,
And that video went viral
mm,
because I was just talking about it, like how difficult I found it, the fact that I
mm,
know that the assessor who assessed me, although she was lovely, she was a general nurse, she had no mental health experience, she had no idea of psychosis, she never worked in mental health, which you can actually refuse
mm,
to have that assessment taken into account, and you can request to be assessed by a professional who
right, okay,
understands the field of your disability or your health
right,
condition.
yeah, that makes
And I
sense.
was sharing just information that I know from my personal experience and professional experience in this video, and it went viral. It went nuts. And
Mm,
then I just kind of started asking answering questions that I was being asked about PIP, and it just went mad. So, but what it did, it kept me from going under.
Yeah. Sometimes if you've got a purpose and you know you're helping somebody, it helps you in the darkest times, right?
Yeah,
So,
but it wasn't all about PIP as well. A lot of my videos, I talked about my weekly Thursday therapy sessions when I started trauma therapy. I was talking about that as well. And and it kind of TikTok, I know people just view it as a social media platform or something for businesses. It's more than that to people who are isolated. It's more than that to people who have disabilities, unseen health conditions, neurodiverse conditions. It's more than that. It's a way of communicating.
It is. It's like I mean, when I first started using TikTok, and this is like my old account, which still exists, it is still there. My Maddy Alexander-Grout one. That was basically my pandemic account, and that was my first intro to TikTok, and that was basically the thing that stopped me from unaliving myself during the pandemic. So I totally get it. And then obviously that one, that one, it did all right. I had a few viral videos off it, but it didn't have a purpose. And then when I found my purpose, which was helping people helping people with money, helping people with the neurodivergent stuff, that was when I knew that TikTok was my platform. And also Instagram kept deleting me, so I just thought, I'm just going to show up and do it. But it is so much more. And that was why when it went in America for all of 24 hours, I was actually really concerned for a lot of people's mental health, because they've built their businesses there, they've built their livelihoods there, and it isn't just a social media platform's gone. It's actually people's lifelines, and it's people's mental health and stuff. But terrible. So personal question, so did your PIP get approved?
Yes,
it did. Amazing. And I did apply for PIP once, and it was a very strenuous and arduous kind of task. The forms are hard, the interview's hard. I went through it all, and then I lost my email address that I'd signed up with, so I never actually got an answer. And I haven't applied for it again since. And I think it's because now I really know and I really understand all of my conditions, because I've got a lot of different things. I mean, I've got all of the neurodivergent conditions. I've also got Hashimoto's disease, PMDD. I mean, I think PMDD is probably actually my most disabling condition.
Yeah.
People don't talk about it enough. It is really horrible. But with Hashimoto's, it affects my mobility. It affects my.
Well, I've not heard of that, darling.
It's an autoimmune disease.
Right.
It's basically where all of your healthy cells in your body attack your thyroid as if it's a foreign body. Right. So essentially, it makes you really weak all the time. So I get muscle tremors. I struggle to move my arms and my legs. And first thing in the morning is the worst for me. Like, I can't do the kids' breakfast. I have to get my husband to do it.
Yeah.
He has to help me to get dressed in the mornings. That's not something that I actually really talk about publicly. I think that's the first time I've ever actually really admitted it, like in public to anybody.
It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's part of your daily life. And this is what this is what really frustrates me, is because I can sit here and talk to you. You can sit here and talk to me. And to the outside world, we look like a regular human being.
Because it's invisible. People don't see it. Drives me nuts. It is literally the bane of my life, the whole invisible disability thing. People I don't have a disabled parking badge. I feel like I need one. I waddle. I can't walk properly. I've got one leg longer than the other, which has always been a problem. I've got misaligned hips. I'm hypermobile. My joints are rubbish. And I waddle. And actually, it takes me a long time to walk from A to B. And because of my Hashimoto's, I get really tired really quickly. It's got similar symptoms to chronic fatigue, for example.
I was going to say, it sounds like a lot of the symptoms, because I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia last year.
It's similar to fibro,
it sounds very. I've just never heard of that condition, so I like to learn something new every day. Thank you, Maddy.
Because it's called Hashimoto's, I call it my inner Pokemon. because
Yeah.
I don't want to scare my kids with it. I mean, it's not like a life or death type of condition. It is a lifelong condition.
Yeah.
You know, I think one of the main benefits is I get free prescriptions. Winner. I mean, who doesn't want to get free prescriptions? But you know,
I mean,
at least
I could, like, yes, my PIP was approved. I could have applied for a blue badge. I could have applied for my half my road tax. I could have applied for bus pass. I could have applied for pre prescriptions. I don't.
yeah,
I
I think
don't.
that's. But the thing is, though, like you're entitled to it, and I think this is the thing. Like I haven't applied for PIP because I always think there are more deserving people. But then when I'm talking about access to work, and people come to me and they say, "Oh, you know, I don't want to apply for it because there's more deserving people," I'm like, "Do you struggle?" And they say yes, and I'm like, "Then you are entitled to it."
Yeah.
You know,
And
it's
that's
not
what I'm saying to you, Maddie. You
yeah, I know.
struggle. And
Yeah.
if you would like some support, I will happily help you, darling. It's
Thank you
no
so
problem
much. I appreciate that.
whatsoever.
You know, and I'm always about applying for what you need. You know, my husband is, I say, happy in inverted commas to be my carer. He is my carer.
Yeah.
Like he was the whole reason I ended up in hospital last week. I'm saying last week because it was actually yesterday, but this is going to go out like
Yeah. Yeah.
next week. Um, the whole reason I ended up in hospital was because my husband was away and I can't feed myself. I'm literally not capable of cooking for myself. So therefore, it's easier not to eat.
Yeah.
And
I'm
my
the same.
electrolyte
My other
dehydrated.
half, he's now classed as my carer, and for me, it's just like I'm nearly 46,
Mm,
and you know he's self-employed, but if he's not in the house, I can't. I wouldn't be able to get out of bed and deal with the dogs. Yes, we've got
mm,
pets. We've got
yeah,
pets. I can't walk them.
no,
I
no,
can feed them, but I can't deal with them
yeah.
on my own. I don't, like you. I don't cook. If I was left to my own devices, I'd be happy. I'd be so happy because I wouldn't have to eat anything, and that's my thing.
It's dangerous, and I'm just going to say this now. Like, if anyone struggles with eating, like, set an alarm, set a reminder, remind yourself to do it. Like, even if it's just picky bits from the fridge, like, just eat because you don't want to have like a suspected heart attack like I did. It's not great. You know,
Yeah, it's
I
really,
know
really scary.
it was horrific. Like, and because I was on my own with the kids as well, it was
Yeah,
even worse. And I it's actually given me a big fat kick up the bum to remember that I have to do these things. So I bought myself some like electrolyte tablets to put in my water. So the very minuscule amount of water that I drink in a day, because I never remember, at least I've got something that's hydrating me.
yeah.
And I've also got I mean, I went to Greg's this morning and I got some yum yums. I mean, that's not nutritious, but it's food.
Yum yums.
Yeah.
They're my
So
favourite. They're one of my favourites.
I mean, I've
Like,
got two, and now I've got the dilemma of like, do I eat one of them and then maybe have to eat the other one because otherwise there's only one left, or do I give them to the kids? And I'm thinking that's a really crap idea.
eat
I'm
them
going to give.
both.
Yeah, I think I'm going to. Like, I mean,
What's your tea?
that's my tea, exactly done. But I mean, just in general though, people don't realise how much like if James is away, I need him to be my person to give me the cues to do something. So, like going to bed, for example, like, you know, last night he was here and I went to bed at 11 o'clock. I mean, I didn't go to bed until 3 o'clock in the morning the night before because obviously the ambulance was here and it was all like crazy. But in general, if he's away, I won't go to sleep until like 1:30, 2 o'clock because somebody,
Yeah.
you know, it's only when my body goes, you're tired. Because as an autistic person as well, I struggle with interoception.
Yeah.
So my body doesn't tell me that I'm hungry. My body will tell me that I'm freezing cold, but only when I get to the point of being freezing cold. There's no like, oh, it's a bit chilly, I'll put an extra layer on.
Yeah.
It's like from naught to freezing in about 3 seconds. And it's the same with heat as well. Like, you know, if I'm, and especially being perimenopausal as well, it's like I go inside somewhere that is warm, and instead of being like, oh, it's a bit warm in here, I'll take some layers off, I'm like, la 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 la, oh my god, I'm dying. And then I have panics, and like
that's exactly me as well. And I have that like 10-20 times a day, because I'm working out one of the symptoms of fibromyalgia, which there are so many, but the not being able to maintain your body temperature is one of the hardest ones.
It really is. Like my body, I am either freezing cold or boiling hot. There is nothing in between.
Yeah.
You know, I've actually been talking about recently the Scope winter fuel support for disabled people. It's a really, really great scheme. You know, if you are disabled and you're listening to this and you haven't gone and looked at it, have a look at it, because they can help you with things like bills, reducing your energy costs, like all sorts of things. But it's something that a lot of disabled people struggle with, no matter what the disability.
Scope's
you know, I think
website is absolutely fantastic. For anybody that's never visited the website, please go and have a look as well, because that was one of the websites that I requested the Times newspaper look at as well.
Yes, there's a lot of information there, and I love, actually, if you go and have a look at Scope's videos, they've done a lot of like pushback on these horrible sickfluencer articles, etc. So what types of things can people claim PIP for?
Right, so this is where it gets quite difficult with PIP, because people think, we'll use fibromyalgia, for example. People think they've got a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, or this is one of my problems as well, is like I can't get the words out of my mouth.
Is it kind of like, it's not necessarily the condition you have, it's how badly it affects you?
A lot of my videos, I am constantly reminding people, it does not matter what you're diagnosed with. It's about how your health conditions, disability or illness, whatever you call it, because it's individual to different people, whatever is wrong with you, it's about how it impacts you on a day-to-day basis doing the 12 activities that are listed in the questionnaire.
Right, yes.
Okay, it gets confusing, because there is a huge spreadsheet of conditions that are accepted. But you do have to provide medical evidence of your diagnosis.
Makes sense, yeah.
But what PIP are looking for is what support you need to do the daily activities, how difficult you find it, how long it takes you, can you repeat it, you know, doing the tasks, you know, can you do it? So this is where I really struggle with the attention that I got with the press, because they don't understand exactly how difficult it is to be awarded PIP.
Oh my God. I mean, and this is the thing with access to work as well. You know, it's not like you go in, because I think their main thing was like, you don't have to be diagnosed with a neurodivergent condition to be able to get it. But unless you are a neurodiversity specialist, and why the fuck would you be a neurodiversity specialist if you didn't have a neurodivergent condition in the first place? I've got no idea. Or you've probably spent about 70 hours of your life watching TikToks about neurodiversity. And again, why the fuck would you do that if you weren't neurodivergent? Because that is way too time consuming to be awarded a very small amount of money. And also, access to work is not cash in your pocket. So
no, you don't physically get it, do you? I mean, I'll be honest with you, I have no experience of access to work whatsoever. And it's something that I need to look at myself.
Absolutely,
But nobody in their right mind, and I say that loosely, I don't mean to offend anybody with that terminology, but
no, I mean, there are always going to be
why would you put yourself through a PIP application form and assessment?
I mean, they take forever. They're hard to get approved. You have to go through stringent interviews. You have to prove your medical conditions. actually, I would say PIP is harder to get than access to work is, but
Yeah.
access to work is really hard. You have at
Yeah.
least 3 different people that you speak to within the process. There is an
Yeah.
application form. You have to give specific details about your condition, and you can't
Yeah.
just copy it off. I've got a walkthrough video in my bio, which people can download, which essentially, if you've got ADHD, kind of tells you the sorts of things that you can put into your application process.
Yeah.
But even if you copied it word for word and you went to access to work and you were like, oh, these are my conditions, they interview you. And
Yeah.
unless you know all of the information about all of your conditions and you can talk about how it affects you in the workplace, which unless you're going through it, you're not going to know,
No.
you're not going to get awarded. And I know quite a few people who have been turned down. So
Yeah.
it's not an easy process. And people just think, oh, yeah, I'll quickly apply for this benefit because I'm going to say I've got ADHD. It doesn't fucking work like that, mate.
No.
Like,
I mean, the way the media targeted me was
it's
they
disgraceful.
came at it as people could use what I was saying and my PDF guides to enhance their chance of winning their claim if they already had a condition.
Mm-hmm.
And I did say to one journalist, I can see why people with no understanding of disability or how social media works, or anyone that hasn't gone through personal independence payment would think like that. But my concern is, why are the PIP assessors not trained not trained to high enough standards to recognise
That
a
people are
fake
pulling the wool.
claim?
Exactly that.
Because it's easier to
Yeah.
blame people like me.
Who are just trying to help other people to get the support that they're entitled to. And this is, this is what makes me really sad. People like me, people like you, other sickfluencers. I prefer the term disability champion. Check my t-shirts in my bio, by the way.
I saw they look brilliant.
And hopefully by this point, when it's out, we will actually know what the charity is that we're donating the funds to. Because at the moment, I'm in talks with 3 different charities, and I want the best one. So I'm hoping, I'm hoping that the right one will come back to me. But they're all of them are disabled charities. All of them do amazing work. So we should know. So go and if you're watching this video, you've never seen me before, go and check out my disability champion t-shirts. They are amazing, and all of the proceeds go to whichever charity we've chosen. But there was what was I going to say before that? Yeah, we're just trying to help people, and I think your story, is it's awful. I mean, do you want to talk about? Let's talk a bit about what actually happened with you, because you were kind of like the original sickfluencer, weren't you? Really? I mean, we should bow down to you as the queen of all sickfluencers.
I just don't. I hate it. I absolutely. It literally. I mean, the attention that it got. Basically, it started on the Friday, towards the end of November. The articles, I was supported to write the right to reply, because I can't do things like that on my own. I can't.
No.
I'm not great with words. This is where I really struggle. I can know what I want to say in my head, but I can't get it out of my mouth, and I can't type at the same time.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And so I had support to do the right to respond to the Times, who were printing on the Saturday. I did that, sent that off, and then another journalist contacted me and wanted to talk. I said, yes, that's fine, but I am not talking to you unless you give me a copy of it. He then tried to say, I don't do that. And I said, well, you've just recorded this without my permission, so you will give me a copy of it. Otherwise, I can go and report you to the ISO. So he did give me a copy of it. And then the Channel 4 dispatches programme was just something else. Ultimately, all of that led to me completely losing my marbles. And I ended up in the crisis team, the mental health crisis team, ended up admitting me to a respite house, a mental health respite house, because I hadn't tried to unalive myself again. I hadn't tried that. I wanted to. That's what I wanted to do, but I wouldn't go to A&E because I couldn't. I was in my kitchen just screaming and howling. The dogs were going mad. My partner didn't know what to do with me, and they came and then admitted me to a mental health crisis respite house, and I was there for 5 nights and 6 days. And
I hope you fucking billed them. I would have genuinely billed the Times for that and been like, no, this is what you've done to me.
I think what it was more than anything, it all came at that time when I was finding out when the perpetrator was being released from prison. And when I did find out, I was in the crisis place, and he's getting released on my birthday this year.
Oh God. It's trigger.
Which has now been changed because
it's a trigger stacking thing, isn't it? Because you get like one thing on top of another, on top of another, on top of, until you flip. And I think that was what it was for me this week as well. You know, I had my you know, we're in the process of buying a house. We lost the house last week. I found on the same day I found a boob lump and a potentially cancerous mole, both of which are getting sorted next week. But you know, that was quite bad for my mental health. I was already burned out, and then this came, and it's just that's why I ended up in hospital. You know, it's really crap that, you know, clearly these papers are just gunning for people, and they don't think that actually there's a person out there who's got, you know, a mental health.
It's because we look okay.
Yeah,
it's because me and you look okay. If we sat in front of cameras with white bandages round our head, they'll think, oh
my God, yeah, exactly.
They've lost their marbles, or whatever terminology they want to use. Do you know what I mean? But because we don't, and, you know, I've always advocated for other people. I'm not good at doing it for myself. I never have been, because that's learnt behaviour.
Exactly.
It's learnt behaviour. I live in a heightened state of fear constantly.
Yeah.
Like, I've learnt that through trauma therapy. I'm completely detached from the child that was traumatised. I don't want to own it. I had 22 hours of trauma therapy, and lo and behold, that didn't fix me. That's my family's language towards me.
Yeah.
You should be fixed. You should be back to work. That all happened.
There's no fixing trauma like that. You can have all the therapy in the world, and I don't think it's ever going to be fixed.
But back to the dispatches thing. So they contacted me in August last year.
Right.
Via TikTok, the researcher for the media production team that were doing this dispatches program, they contacted me, and I was a little bit dubious because there are so many fake accounts on TikTok. So I replied to her and I said, if you wish to talk to me, this was just a TikTok message, please go to my profile and send me an email via the link in my bio. Okay, so she did. So she had, you know, all the correct email signature stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll give you a chance. But she was saying that they're doing a research in they're researching into DWP benefits and how it impacts disabled people, the application process, stuff like that. Would you be interested in taking part in this documentary? Would you mind talking to us? So I was like, no, absolutely not. I'm quite happy to get involved and I can give you a view from the people who contact me, but also my personal and professional experience.
Yeah.
You know, I'm quite happy to get involved. Please let me know when would be good for you. Never got back to me. And the Times only did that article on the Saturday because they were told by Channel 4 about the dispatches programme. So when I put two and two together, because you've got to remember, I was not in a good place after I'd done that right to respond to the Times. So when I put the two and two together, I started emailing Channel 4 on the Saturday night. And I said, I need to speak to somebody about the programme that you're going to air on Monday night, because I was asked to take part in that programme, and you have now plastered my picture that is going to go out on live TV without consulting me on a program you asked me to take part in. I said, I feel that you are not being fair to me, and it's a defamation of character because of the headlines that are in the Times. They did come back to me it was less than 8 hours the next morning on the Sunday. They came back to me and said, oh, someone will be in contact with you. And I said, I highly suggest that you pause the airing of that film because I'm dealing with some really personal, serious, triggering events next week. And I really don't need this on top. And I just feel it's unfair that you're going to air a program with my face and my voice without consulting me when you asked me to take part in it. And I've got evidence of this because, funnily enough, I'm good at building evidence bundles because I've had to do it for 20 years for people who apply for personal independence payment. So they came back to me in the afternoon. I don't know who it was. It was somebody from the production team of the Dispatches programme. I've got the names all in emails. I just can't recall anything. They said, oh, we understand your concerns and we have taken this into consideration. And with that, we feel we've addressed all your concerns by blurring your picture and changing your voice. We hope that this is satisfactory to you. So I replied again, no, this is not satisfactory to me. I do not agree with it. I suggest again, you need to take into consideration the things that I've got to deal with next week. And this is going out on Monday night. I said, what I'm going to do is give you the details of the victim liaison officer from the probation services here in Norfolk, so she can confirm with you exactly what I've got to do next week. Because it's not something very pleasant. I said, it's to do with the perpetrator. It's to do with, because I had to go through all the restrictions of where he can and can't be upon release, and then for the end of his license, which was awful. So I gave them her details. I gave them her email address, phone number. I gave them a screenshot of like this detailed descriptions that you need to, this is a real person. And I also asked them to contact my GP because GP knows about it. They didn't answer Sunday. They came back on Monday and said, we feel we've addressed all your concerns and we hope this satisfies you. And the last email I wrote, I went, no, this is not satisfactory to me.
If you had unalived yourself, that would have been 100% on their conscience. What absolute assholes.
And because of all that, I ended up dealing with all the victim liaison officer from probation. I ended up dealing with all of that because I didn't just have to do restrictions for me. I had to do it for family members the other end of the country. And only I could do it. The way the criminal justice system works, don't even get me started on that because that is another kettle of fish that I will deal with when I'm in a much better place.
Yeah, you will. Absolutely. So in the end with the Dispatches programme, how long was it obvious it was you, and how long were you on?
I refused to watch it. Apparently, yes, it is obvious that it's my TikTok profile. I haven't watched it because
triggering.
I don't know what will happen in my mind if I do watch it. I'm scared.
Totally. 100%.
And I've had quite a few messages of support, and there is somebody who is bless her, she's a disability lawyer, and she was instantly like, they can't do this, they cannot do this to somebody that's disabled, that they know is disabled, because they've gone through my whole TikTok profile and the evidence that I'd given them as well, contacting the GP and my emails. They should not have done that.
No, they shouldn't.
And I was told to take them to court and do all this, but I can't do things like that by myself anymore.
No,
I haven't got the headspace for it, and I don't it's not right that they get away with it.
It's not. And then I'm assuming as well, the press this week has kind of brought it all up again for you, because you've seen what creators like me and Amanda and Priyanka, all of us have been through.
It's
and you're
totally wrong.
just
I know how
triggering.
you feel, and I reached out to you, and I reached out to the other lady. Is it
Yeah,
Priyanka?
Priyanka, yeah.
Yeah, I reached out to her and I said,
Did she
please
come
don't
back to
feel
you?
like you're alone. Pardon?
Did she come back to you?
I commented on one of her videos and she
Yeah.
commented back. She hasn't messaged as far as I know, but I just want
No.
you guys to know that you're not alone,
Yeah.
because I felt completely alone, because I
Yeah.
didn't know any of the other creators that they put me in the group with. I don't know who those people are. I have no connection to them
No.
whatsoever. And if they are helping people to cheat the system, then if I knew that, I would report them, because I told this to the journalist as well. I said, you need to look into neurodiverse life. You need to look into the creators or the profiles that are charging people between £60 and £900 to do a PIP application for them. I said, these are the kind of people that we are reporting, that nothing is getting done about it.
Yeah.
And that's why we provide the free advice, because it is free. I get not everybody is able to understand the language and do it by themselves, because everybody's individual, but vulnerable people should not be financially abused by other creators who are taking ridiculous amounts of money off and then ghosting them. Not just that, ghosting them.
Exactly that. Honestly, it drives me absolutely potty. So that's why with my access to work support, like, I have a video for people to watch, which is completely free. I've got a workbook that's completely free. If people want my time, they pay for my time, so I can take them through the application. But what I do is, at the end, when they get their access to work support and they get my coaching, I refund them the difference, or give them an extra session. So it's not a financial gain to me.
No.
And also, like, there are millions of ADHD coaches out there. People don't always need to work with me. I'm very much, because I'm so squarey and I'm a bit different, and people are like, oof, not everybody wants to work with me.
That's what I say on my videos. I'm an acquired fucking taste. I'm authentic, and I'm very fucking unapologetic about it.
And
because
that's exactly the sort of people that I love, and this is why I think we gravitate towards each other. But I always like to try and keep these podcast episodes like around the 40-minute mark, just because otherwise my ADHD audience go, too long, don't want to listen anymore. So how do people work with you, Liz? What's the process of working with you?
I just go onto my profile. I mean, at the moment, like, I am not really doing anything, because what I was doing in December was I launched my chronic illness peer support group. It's just a WhatsApp group. I've had to close that to anybody new, because I don't know who's coming into the group now.
Oh, it's hard, isn't it?
I'm trying to build my chronic illness wellbeing hub. So my idea, it's in my head, and I was going along quite nicely with it at my own pace, building the website. And now I'm lucky if I can do one video a week for TikTok, because I'm just
burned out.
They've upped my medication. So my support is, I don't offer one-to-ones. I don't charge anything. I'm not making money. I don't have a business. It's just general support via my TikTok profile. I've got 652 unread messages in TikTok. I have not got
mate.
the headspace or the energy to deal with them.
To deal with that, we need to sort you some access to work out, so you've actually got a business to
That's
work
what
through.
I'd really like to do, because I can't do it by myself. I've been told by the crisis team, I've been told by so many professionals that I need to have an ADHD and an autism assessment. Because I've got quite a lot of the characteristics, I think. At the moment, my head can't deal with anything.
No.
Like, I cannot deal with anything. And a lot of it is not just the media stuff, but I don't know.
It's
I
just
feel like it
overwhelming.
set me like 20 steps backwards.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
just, at the moment, all I need to do is get to June, because that's when my
yeah,
next trauma therapy starts.
yeah. Well, know this, we are all behind you. Everybody that I know appreciates what you do. You are somebody that is helping people for free, and it is amazing. So, what's the name of your TikTok page?
Liz, mental health Pip Angel, that's it.
Pip
See, this is
Angel.
the problem. I didn't name it. A lot of my viewers named it.
Oh,
Um,
love that.
so they're like, "You're an angel. You're an angel. You need to change your name." I can't even remember what it was before, but
No, yeah, no, I can't either.
yeah.
But it is absolutely lovely to have you on.
Thank you
And
for having me. It's
what
been
you
lovely to talk to you.
what you do really helps people. If you are listening to this episode on Spotify or Apple Music, fabulous. You can also watch it on YouTube. You can download the Mad About Money app for free, and you can watch it in there as well. Give go and give Liz a follow. Give me a follow as well, Mad About Money Official. And if you see any of these horrible articles about sickfluencers, come and buy the t-shirt, because let's stick a big middle finger up to these
Yeah,
people who can
absolutely.
bully us. Thank you so much, Liz. Been a pleasure having you. We will see you next time.